Hey, what's up guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everyone's doing well and I hope you enjoyed today's video. We're going to dive into a bunch related to Casper Network, the pros, the cons, different news that we've seen related to the inscriptions, the validator issues. We're going to go over this interview that was 40 minutes long, uploaded yesterday, discussing the blockchain hub or the hub at Davos for 2024 that's taking place on January 15th, so about 10 days from today. So if you have time, I definitely recommend watching this entire video. This is uploaded on the All In Casper community channel. And this is a great interview by Cliff Sarkin, the Chief of Strategic Relations over at Casper Labs. So for the next 5 to 6 minutes, I'm going to share a few clips, and then we'll dive into a bunch.
Let's show the community that is skeptical about blockchain. They were already skeptical before 3 Arrows and Celsius and FTX. But now they're even more so. Let's show them that there are actual companies that are using this technology and they're saving money and they're making money in new ways because of it. There's a couple of really amazing Casper projects that are going to be showcased there. I'm not sure if the community yet knows about Sports Advantage. They're going to be on testnet soon and mainnet hopefully in Q1, certainly by March. And they're doing a blockchain, a Casper-based system for advertisers for the racing series, starting with the Porsche series, which the new season starts in March. So they're racing, so to speak, to be ready for that. Our friends at DropLink are doing some great things with Casper Commerce. We're going to show that. There's really cool things already happening in supply chain. There'll be a panel on pharma, on blockchain. There's really cool things happening in Web3 with telecommunications. So there'll be a telco panel. All of this is going to be on our Blockchain in Action Day. And then we're actually inviting some of our competition. We don't really call them competition. We'll say our frenemies, where there's a layer 1 roundtable that'll include Lily Liu, the president of the Solana Foundation, Dominic Williams, the chief scientist at Definity, and Lehman Bayard from Hedera, and kind of talking about the pros and cons of each of the layer 1s that we built. So all of that is going to be on our Blockchain in Action Day. And then the fourth day, which we call day 3, because day 1 is day 0, will be about sustainability in the morning and finance in the afternoon. We think blockchain generally is an alternative to the old and costly and not just costly in dollars, but for our environment, a way of doing things. And we think Casper is incredibly efficient compared to our peers. And so we'll hear from folks that have invested in Casper and Casper Labs, folks that are thinking about the future, not just 5 years ahead, but 20 years ahead, and why blockchain is an important part of that. That'll be the morning. And then the afternoon on the Thursday will be all about fintech, and not just blockchain, but blockchain will play a predominant role in the way banking systems should be run, the way other financial institutions can adopt new technologies. The other thing to notice is down here. Can you see my cursor? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we see this Financial Times.
Yeah, but for the first time, we have a major media partner. Before we kind of put this on with Casper Labs, or we partnered with our friends at CBBC to run the event, and we've done a good enough job over the last couple of years that a tier 1 media partner has found us and said, we want to, co-program this with you guys. And so we, while a lot of people, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands know Casper, tens and tens of millions, arguably a billion people know the Financial Times, and they come with a reputation of fairness, particularly in business, and particularly in Europe, but beyond. And so we are honored that they're, our co-creator here. We built this slide was last week. It's already, I think we've already confirmed 80 speakers. And like I said, our website will be updated. We're continuing updating the speaker list. Oh, by the way, it's thehubdavos.com, www.thehubdavos.com. the speaker page is updated, I don't know, hourly almost. And then the whole site will be updated, I think, at the end of next week to include the full program, not just the speaker list. But we are honored to have on our DS some of the biggest leaders in our space and other industries. Those in our industry that think we should never even talk to or deal with the leaders in the places that we're trying to disrupt right now, I think don't understand fully that that's not how change is made. Change is made when you, like, for instance, like, with Uber, like, or Airbnb, like, they didn't shun governments. They didn't say, like, we're outside of the law. Like, they went into New York and they went into airports and they made the case, and they gave money to lobbyists, and, like, they said, we are building a better mousetrap, but we're going to work with the existing systems to make it easier for you to adopt it. And eventually taxis now have a tiny market share compared to what the 100% market share that they used to, because Uber did it that way. They sat in meetings with even their competition. It said, we've built something better. It's going to win. Let us show you how it's going to be better for you. And so that's why we go to Davos, is per capita, there is no other place like it. For the week that the web is there, the number of decision makers of various industries, governments, NGOs, you're just always, around people. And the folks that are there are looking for disruptors, innovators, who could save them money, open up new channels for revenue. And so that's why we go.
All right, let's get into it. We'll also cover the Casper price chart. We have a bunch to go over, so we're going to be all over the place in this one. So first up, Casper Network is now officially integrated into the Ledger Live application, which is great. So we know you could already store your Casper with Ledger as a cold storage solution, but now you can actually transfer or transact your Casper directly within the app of Ledger Live. So I tested this out yesterday with my Ledger, so everything works fine. However, the current Ledger Live implementation only shows your liquid balance of Casper. It does not show what you have delegated or what you're staking. So the Ledger Live application for Casper works, but it only shows transfers. And keep in mind, this is semi-common even for people that have staked Ethereum. They don't see that in their Ledger Live either. So I know they're working on updating versions so that you can see your staked balance as well instead of just your liquid balance. Now we're on CasperLabs.io. You can come up to the About tab and go through the team and just scroll through. There's Cliff Sarkin, who just did that interview in the beginning of this video. And then we can see the list of engineers. So we have a bunch of engineers, I believe about 37 engineers working on Casper Network. So we've talked about this in the past, and if we scroll back up and look at the Chief Marketing Officer, the CMO, this is Michael Dobak. Michael played a part in creating one of the most recognizable brand campaigns in the last decade, Flow from Progressive. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then looking at the GitHub, the Casper Association repository, we can see updates and activity in the GitHub, and then even right there, the Casper Association portal backend for staging. So you can go through the GitHub, go through the docs, you can search for keywords such as like Algorand, and it'll pull up any information it has related to that. So you can check Casper's GitHub manually. This is the verified one. And unfortunately, it's not synced with other popular platforms like Santiment to actually see the GitHub activity. And it's also important to know that Casper is public, private, and hybrid. So we don't necessarily see all the code commits that are private or for hybrid instances. And it was a while back when Casper Labs, I believe it was the CEO Renal, either in a video interview we shared on YouTube or in the Telegram chat, just emphasizing that over 90% are building hybrid instances. So a hybrid instance means it is both leveraging the private network as well as the public network. So they can benefit from the features of both and then relay that information to the public network. So the downside is we don't see the coding activity for the private network, and then later, as that's built, some of that information in those transactions will go to the public network. Now we know that Casper Labs is much more focused on enterprise applications rather than retail applications, but I would still like to see a DeFi ecosystem in the future. We know enterprise applications, even one or two large ones, could have more transactions than the entire Ethereum network, so it's a big deal. But at the same time, I want to see a DeFi ecosystem, I want to see total value locked, I want to see a successful DEX that actually works and functions well. And we see the speakers in 10 days for Casper's event. We know that Circle's going to be there, Jeremy Allaire. I would like to see an announcement of the USDC Casper stablecoin that we heard about last year. So we know Cliff mentioned a few presentations going over pharma and supply chain for Casper Network, and then also a telco panel, so I'm curious if T-Mobile is going to be one of the main speakers. And we also have right here the Chief Policy Officer over at Coinbase. So Coinbase is speaking at Davos, and yet Casper's still not listed on Coinbase. Kraken's presented at their event multiple times, and then even Binance, and they did a fireside chat last year. Going on Scansper.com and heading down to the rich list, I'm going through the top wallets. You know, some of them are labeled like Uphold, OKX, CoinList. We have KuCoin, Gate, Mexi with multiple wallets, Casper Team, Casper Association up top. I'm looking at this and I'm trying to find any wallets that are large, but they haven't staked or delegated their Casper, and they maybe are even new. So they're not showing transaction history 2 years old. I'm looking for any types of accounts that might be new, because I'm looking for potential wallets that could be T1 exchanges in the future. There's a variety that have yet to list Casper: Gemini, Kraken, Coinbase, Binance, etc. It's hard to front run a layer 1 network rather than just like an ERC20 token on top of Ethereum, because with Ethereum or ERC20s, you can go to Etherscan, and then some of the biggest market makers are labeled. So that's what I did for Origin Protocol, or OGN. Is it Origin Protocol, not Origin Trail. And I did that back in early 2021 because I saw Wintermute was finally making markets for OGN, and I saw larger balances moving, and then within the next few weeks or next few months, we also got a Coinbase listing. Now, some people don't think exchange listings matter, but I care about having the on-ramps, the volume, and the market makers for volume. And without Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, some of the largest exchanges in the world, the volume is still low for Casper. Over the past few months, I've seen Casper's volume go from 2 million, then it bounces up to like 14 million today, just fluctuating, but there's a variety of assets that have volumes in the hundreds of millions of dollars during a bull run. And even looking at Cardano or ADA during the bull run back in 2021, its 24-hour volume was over $15 billion. So we know BitGo supported Casper a while back, so BitGo is a qualified custodian for Casper, providing institutional-grade digital asset custody and institutional access. But I want to see Casper and a variety of other digital assets in this space be approved by more qualified custodians. I want more bridges and infrastructure for institutional access, for key recovery, multi-sig tech, cold storage. And I'd like to see more information on Chengdu Chain and how that is going. This is leveraging Casper for the smart city in China, Chengdu. So we have Casper Labs CEO, the CTO, alongside a bunch of engineers and architects. And this is with the BSN, or Blockchain-Based Service Network. This is basically the hyperledger of China. And the population of Chengdu, China is approximately 6 times larger than the city of Chicago. If you guys haven't seen this article, I definitely recommend it. This was on December 5th, the community call for Casper, going over the Casper protocol roadmap, mentioning Condor, which is actually Casper 2.0, or formerly called that, and then an update on the IPW minting on Casper Network. Meta, the CTO of Casper Labs, detailed Casper Labs' role in assisting IPW's transition to the mainnet with a significant focus on preparing data for decentralized storage, particularly on IPFS. It's about deciding which patents to mint first and determining the crucial data that needs to be on-chain and in IPFS. She emphasized that this process lays the groundwork for how patent NFTs will interact with an IPW system. So these are dynamic NFTs, or upgradable NFTs, so the metadata can be upgraded, which is a huge benefit for enterprises, for any new information that's relevant in the metadata for compliance. So whenever this goes through, of 25 million patents, an aggregate value of $7 to $10 billion, this will be secured on the public network. She also touched on a recent production issue faced by IPW, explaining how it affected their minting process timeline. Production issues take precedence over other work, she stated, providing insight into the prioritization challenges that enterprises often encounter. Okay, next up for Casper Wallet, for anybody curious whether you use Casper Dash or Ledger, this is for those that use the Casper Wallet and you're using the mobile version. Definitely make sure you're always visiting the secure site, or the URL with HTTPS in front of it, for casperwallet.io. You have the mobile versions for Android or Apple, and then you have the browser. So for anybody that already has your wallets imported on the browser or your Chrome extension or Brave, you can import all of the wallets that you already have on your PC directly into the mobile app. So here's a few screenshots I took. When you open up the mobile app for Casper Wallet, you can click Import from another device. And on your phone, you can click Scan a QR code. And when you're on your PC with the Casper Wallet Chrome extension, you can open that up and just open up the QR code. So here's a view of the Chrome extension on the PC, where it gives you the option right there, Generate Wallet QR Code. And once you scan that code, it'll import all of your wallets on your PC Chrome extension right into your mobile app. Okay, let's also dive into these Casper inscriptions and all of these transactions. So on CSPR.live, we can go to contracts, and we can see that this contract was created 4 days ago, and they've already done over 300,000 transactions, or technically deploys or deployments. Now, I'll do my best to explain what we just witnessed over the past few days with these inscriptions. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But we can see Casper Delegation. This is a validator on Casper Network. In the last days, Casper Network was pushed to its limits in terms of throughput, but it didn't even blink in terms of stability and security. Of course, we would love to have much more throughput along with security and stability, which hopefully will come with Zug Protocol with Condor, the upgrade to the consensus mechanism. We even have this gentleman right here. Congrats to the validators who passed the stress test. So we saw these inscriptions a few days ago, and we talked about this in the previous Casper video. And the XRP ledger recently also went through a type of inscription spam attack. So let's break down high level what inscriptions are. I still don't understand what this actual project is. Community-driven inscription marketplace and launchpad, called Casper's or CSPRS. So I shared this tweet the other day, and my bad, I'm losing my voice here. We have the token standards for Casper Network. We went over the NFT standards. Main one you just have to pay attention to is CEP78. This is the one that IPW will be using. CEP18, just like fungible tokens like ERC20s. And now we had this newest one. I think it's a token standard called CBRC20. So this appears to be the first Casper inscription following BRC20. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Bitcoin ordinals and Bitcoin inscriptions. So we have all of these inscriptions in explaining the CBRC20 for Casper. So last year for Bitcoin, we had Bitcoin ordinals, and ordinals are just serial numbers for individual Satoshis. So one single Bitcoin or the token contains 100 million Satoshis. So a Satoshi is the smallest individual unit of a single Bitcoin. So 100 million Satoshis equals one Bitcoin. And with ordinals, now every single Satoshi, the smallest unit of Bitcoin, can be identified by its ordinal number. Now for Bitcoin first, we saw inscriptions. An inscription is basically the process of embedding different types of data, whether it's a text, an image, or any type of digital content, not just into the token, but the smallest unit of Bitcoin Satoshi. So as far as I understand it, it's basically like attaching text, an image, or anything to a single Satoshi rather than a token. So because this is a relatively new concept, a lot of use cases are still being explored. So going to docs.casper network, the smallest unit of a Casper token is actually a mote, M-O-T-E. So each Casper token is divisible into 10 to the 9th motes. So I haven't seen too much documentation going over Casper inscriptions, and does that mean that these inscriptions are assigning text, an image, or any type of information to an individual mote, the smallest unit of a Casper token? So I provided some links below, including the contract and different documentation, but basically the Casper Inscription Initiative aims to integrate a unique inscription mechanism designed to provide a permanent, immutable record of data. I personally didn't see them specifically say it's inscribed into a single mote, but please correct me if I'm wrong. Users can inscribe any form of data, text, or information they wish to record permanently. I just personally don't understand this contract and what they're actually assigning, or what are they inscribing, what value are in these deployments. And to be clear, I'm not promoting this group by any means. I don't even understand the utility of it. I have not gone into the Telegram. I guess I should, but I don't understand what value or what they're putting in these inscriptions. I don't know if this is just a test run. And this test run actually gave congestion to the network, and some validators even went down. So the good ones actually stayed up and maintained, which is good, but some validators went down, and if you were delegating to a bad validator, you may have not earned staking rewards for a few eras. Now remember, when you delegate your Casper to a validator, that Casper is always yours. So if the validator goes down, you always get your Casper, you can always get it back and withdraw it at any time. So rule number one, before investing into anything or even staking, make sure you fully understand everything, just so you don't panic. And remember, you can come up on CSPR.live and you can go through the validators. The max number of delegators allowed, I believe, is 1,200. So some of these are still available, but they have heavy fees. You can go down. Casperian is 0%, but that is already full. And you can find something in the top 50, top 100, but most important is uptime. Is finding a validator with phenomenal performance, hopefully 100%, worst case, try to find something with over 99% performance. And I personally don't want to pick one that's too far down the list. Obviously, more validators are coming on, it's becoming more decentralized, but I want to make sure that the validator or validator that I'm using is relatively high up in the list so that it's always getting rewards. Now, if you're staking and your validator is down and you're no longer earning rewards, you can do this. You can go to Wallet and you can click Undelegate Stake. And of course, you can sign in the top right and connect your Casper Wallet. And from here, you would click your chosen account. You would choose the validator that you want to undelegate from or withdraw your Casper from. You can click Undelegate Max, and the benefit now is you can directly redelegate to a new validator in a single transaction. So if you found a better validator that one has almost 100% uptime and the fees are relatively low and they're available for more delegations, you can redelegate to that validator and it'll start that process, and then within 14 to 16 hours your Casper will be liquid and then it will be directly delegated to the next validator, and then 2 hours after that you'll begin to get your staking rewards all over again. So kind of annoying to see that Casper Network experience that congestion. Other chains have. XRP Ledger just experienced something similar. I'm just curious, I guess, what the inscriptions are for. And just remember that your Casper tokens in your wallet are your Casper as long as you always keep those private keys. You never share that with anybody. Anybody asking for your private keys is trying to scam you and take those funds. So if any of your Casper are being delegated under a validator that went down or is down, you can undelegate at any time and you can withdraw it. And then you can redelegate it to any validators that have been running the whole time and still earning rewards. So the big point is Casper Network never went down, it just experienced congestion from all of those inscriptions. If there were other causes, please let me know, but as far as I understand it, from all these inscriptions, that's what congested the network. So it seems that Casper Network has survived the stress test. And above all else, Casper Network is always prioritizing security. And we can see in the Telegram right here, I read Ethereum does 100,000 transactions in a second. And right here, this gentleman says that's a bit misleading, depends on how you describe a transaction. Casper can process 50 deploys in 1,250 transfers per block. We have deploys which could contain hundreds or thousands of transactions, but we just say one deploy. We usually don't count the internode gossip. The high numbers presented usually include all those. And that's true for a lot of different blockchains or networks that talk about their really high throughput. But even then, I think Casper prioritizes security and stability over raw throughput. In the last 2 days, the network was pushed to its limits in terms of throughput, but it doesn't even blink in terms of stability and security. And of course, we would all love to have more throughput along with security and stability, which will hopefully come with the Zug protocol or Zug protocol this year. So friendly reminder, Casper Network has deploys which could contain hundreds or thousands of transactions, but they just say one deploy. Okay, that was a bunch of information, but I just wanted to go through that because I know a lot of people had questions that I saw through Twitter, and I hope that answered at least some of your questions. And if you're a developer interested in Casper Network, you can visit developer.casper.network. So last but not least, let's dive into the Casper price chart. I want to cover a few more things. I'm losing my voice, so we'll try to keep this short and sweet. In previous videos, we went over the actual equation that determines the APY or the staking rewards, currently 11%. There is a fixed inflation rate of 8%. So the APY or the earnings are higher than the inflation rate. Looking at the Casper price chart, when it first launched on exchanges toward the peak of the market, the beginning of the bear market, we can see this huge sell-off, massive distribution. A lot of people still misunderstand the inflation rate of 8% and remember that all token unlocks are finished, both public and private sales. So over the past 2 years, that explains why we had some of the biggest sell-offs, because the circulating supply increased, but now the band-aid is ripped off, the private and public sales or the unlocks are done. So over 95% are in circulation. So for the most part, that massive sell pressure is over, and just for comparison of HBAR, they have a max supply of 50 billion, so much more than Casper, and they're sitting at 67% in circulating supply. So they're not even close to 95%, meaning there's going to be a lot more inflation for HBAR in the future than Casper. And also, really quick, before we dive into the Casper price chart, I just want to highlight the Bitcoin price chart on the weekly time frame with this purple moving average. This is the 21 EMA. So during this bear market, we can see that we got back above this level for support, fell back down, but got back above this level and are maintaining above it thus far, and that is currently around 36,000. If we scroll back and look at the previous cycles, how did Bitcoin, when it was performing after the Bitcoin halving, perform? So after its last Bitcoin halving, it maintained above this 21-week EMA or this moving average. You can see for support all the way up. And going back to the previous cycle, during the 2016 and 2017 super cycle, we can see the same thing, holding this level for support. So we have support, we have another back test, boom, another back test, wicking, back test, all the way up. So I think that's pretty interesting, so I'm definitely keeping tabs on this 21-week EMA. I'd say for the Bitcoin price chart, there's a good amount of people that either think we're going into all-time highs or we're actually going to break down into reaccumulation once more. I'm rooting for all-time highs, and I'm hoping that we can hold above the 21-week EMA. Now looking at Casper today, the market is dumping. We've had other alts like HBARs, you can see piercing the weekly time frame, this weekly RSI into 70, and we got that impulse a little bit higher up to the weekly R1. We had Casper's weekly RSI here reject the 50 line, but finally get that cross and get that continuation to the upside. But just like HBAR and a few other assets on the weekly time frame, their RSI went into overbought over 70 here. We've yet to see that for Casper. A variety of assets are still in accumulation. Some are potentially going to be breaking out of accumulation, which is great, but for the most part, Casper's still in accumulation. It is doing what the rest of the market is doing. We've seen some assets already get a big move to the upside, but for the most part, Casper and a variety of others are right now just holding above this 21-week EMA. And for perspective, we've just been ranging between 2 to 6 cents. We've still yet to even take out that previous high at just over 6 cents. And a few months back, even looking back at October, we are under 3 cents for a brief period. So even a couple daily candles at 2.9 cents. Now for the Casper price chart, we can see we started getting historical data in May of 2021 on May 10th. So let's turn the lights on. I just want to point out the difference between Casper and a variety of other assets. So for perspective, Hedera launched open access, or its actual mainnet, back in September of 2019 right there. The HBAR price chart launched, it did a dump, but keep in mind, HBAR was around and on different exchanges when Bitcoin went from $3,800 to an all-time high over $60,000. So HBAR was available on a variety of exchanges, including T1 exchanges like Binance, when Bitcoin did a 1,600% move. So Hedera's mainnet was September 16th of 2019. Casper's mainnet was not until March 31st, which is well over 1.5 years later. So this is when Casper launched on mainnet, but this is actually when it was available on a variety of exchanges right as Bitcoin began its first crash. So right around $58,000 to $60,000 for Bitcoin. So we know HBAR was around and Bitcoin did over a 1,600% move, but since Casper launched, even Bitcoin going to an all-time price, it really only saw maybe an 18% or 20% pump. So that means HBAR was in the market and Bitcoin moved over 80 times better than what Casper experienced. HBAR was available on exchanges when Bitcoin was $3,800 up to $69,000. And Casper was listed on exchanges as Bitcoin saw its big crash around $58,000 to $60,000. So we know last cycle, HBAR from its all-time low to its all-time high did around a 60x, but keep in mind, its circulating supply was a lot smaller at this time. It didn't actually get moving until 3 weeks after Bitcoin broke into new highs, and then it saw another like 10x, 15, 16x, maybe even a 20x. So my whole point is a variety of assets, Ethereum and their foundation, HBAR or Hedera and the HBAR foundation, they had plenty of opportunity to sell some of their holdings with a beautiful ROI. And we've shared in the past where the Ethereum foundation sold literally the exact top 2 different times. So whether it was Hedera, Solana, Ethereum, a lot of projects pumped when Bitcoin is pushing into new highs. They took that money, they could sell millions of dollars and still have tons of holdings and then reinvest into their ecosystem later. Whereas Casper has never experienced a bull run like HBAR, where we experienced Bitcoin going from $3,800 to $69K. So this is why I say that Casper was born at the peak of the bull run, because this is basically where momentum was at an all-time high. Let me go to the monthly just to point that out. Casper literally launched here as the momentum was finally falling from its all-time high, just like we've seen for the previous 2 cycles at all-time highs, per the monthly RSI. And Casper's not the only project that has never experienced a full bull run. There were other assets that launched later in the year, but there's different things to consider in terms of the token unlocks, the increase in circulating supply, just a bunch of things, and now the band-aids have been ripped off in the recent years. So really a bunch of considerations, because think that, HBAR Foundation, ETH Foundation, and a variety of other alts that experienced a full bull run last cycle, they had tons of money to sell and reinvest into their ecosystem, and Casper's never experienced that. Whereas Casper Labs has never experienced a bull run and they're just entering revenue now. So I just wanted to run through all of that, share my thoughts. I know this video is super long, but huge props to anybody that watched this whole thing. And last but not least, we have iTrustCapital linked in the top of this YouTube video description. If you use that link to create a free account, you get a $100 funding reward. I've been with iTrustCapital since January of 2020, so I can't believe it's just about 4 years now. And they do have their mobile application live in the App Store. Just make sure you're using the official app. So I have a Roth IRA in the crypto asset class. All gains are 100% tax-free, so I'm paying 0% in capital gains rather than 10%, 15%, or even 37% for short-term capital gains. Feel free to check them out. I have a dedicated iTrustCapital YouTube playlist on my channel if you want to learn more, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.